Hello and welcome to Channel 2S everybody. I'm your host Second Soundwave and it's time for another very cool episode of Gunpla News. So you can already get a little taste on screen of what we're looking at today. We got some pretty cool stuff here. I really like this Penelope box art, but before I gush about this too much, we gotta thank our sponsor, New Type HQ. New Type HQ needs no introduction at this point, but because there's probably going to be some people watching this as their first Channel 2S video, New Type is a US-based Gunpla store. You can get your kits, tools, supplies, basically everything you need to do the hobby right here, and if you use code Channel2S, you will save 10% off your order and also help out the channel. So if you're feeling the urge to build some brand new Gunpla after watching this episode of Gunpla News, be sure to check out that link in the description below. Alright guys, let's talk box art, because you know me, I love my box art, and the Penelope, this is just beautiful box art. As you can see by the aspect ratio of this image, the Penelope is going to be coming in one of the larger master grade style boxes. Now this was not at all a surprise to me, as the price point of the Penelope is very similar to other kits such as the Gashachio Repair that also came in these larger boxes. And for a kit that has lots of large solid armor panels like the Penelope, it's kind of a requirement really. My favorite thing about this art has to be the lighting. The way there's just these heavenly beams radiating down through the clouds and onto the ocean. You can see the beautifully rendered water down here, and the Penelope is just flying over it like we saw in the teaser trailer. This is a really cool piece of art. We also got box art for the other big release this month, the high-res model God Gundam. Now this is very in line with the other high-res models we've seen so far, although he is in, I think as far as I remember, a little bit more of a dynamic pose than what we've seen so far. Most of the previous ones have been kind of just standing around. He's doing the burning finger lunge. He's got a whole bunch of photoshopped in glow effects around him, but as far as I can tell, this is based around an actual picture of the model. And if it isn't, it's a really good CG render. And as much as I like the box art on the Penelope, this is probably the kit that I'm going to end up picking up first, because I've been really wanting to try out the high-res model line, and this looks like the perfect kit for me. Next we have box art for the Justice Knight, and a couple other Build Divers kits as well. Now that we've seen more than one kit from the Build Divers Re-Rise line, we can kind of get a feel for how they're styling the box art for this line. It's a little bit different from the first season. We have this heads-up display border around the whole piece of art. And outside of that, the art pretty much takes up the whole frame, with some little pop-ins featuring a QR code for the anime, as well as the little tag here in the corner that has the Build Divers emblem. As for the artwork itself, it's the pretty standard fare you'd expect to see from any of the recent lines like Build Fighters, Build Divers, or IBO. Very simple cel-shaded style artwork, nothing crazy like we see with the HGUC or Master Grade kits. Even simpler than that are the Build Custom parts, although interesting now that they're no longer calling them HG Build Custom, because this still says HG Build Divers R. I feel like I've seen these listed before as HGBC kits, so I'm not really sure what's up with that. Regarding the box art itself, it's got a similar styling to the mainline kits. However, there's no real artwork here, it's just stock images of the weapons you get in the box, used with some of the models. And it's pretty much the same deal for the V2 weapons. And while we're talking about these, I'm still not really a fan of the way that they're packing the weapons for the Mars 4 and V2 into these Build Custom sets. I think it's really cash grabby when they're already making separate models of them, and they could have just included these parts with those models. But I guess Bandai's gotta be Bandai. And then rounding out the box art for this month is our 3 new Sengoku Souketsuden kits. So starting off, we have the Akatsuki, which is the coolest one by far in my opinion. I already really like the Akatsuki design, and I think it lends really well to this aesthetic. And here we have the Strike Noir, which does get points for being pretty immediately recognizable as the Strike Noir, and I do like that cool HUD display he has that flips down over his eyes, but overall I think it's just not as cool as the Akatsuki. Now Destiny Gundam's presumably got a lot of cool stuff going on, because he actually comes in what looks like a full-sized high-grade box. So maybe it's the wings, maybe it's those cape parts, or maybe it's his enormous demon hand. But whatever it is, there's something about this model that makes the kit a couple hundred yen more expensive and the box a little bit bigger. Alright, so I got something really cool to show you guys next, and some of you guys are going to be super hyped to hear this, some of you are going to be really disappointed, and then I think a lot of you are going to be disappointed at first, and then it's going to turn right back around into hype. So in February 2020, we will be getting a Leo full set. Now you can probably get a pretty good idea already by looking at this picture of what you're going to be getting in this set, but basically this is the parts from all the previous Leo variants in the classic Leo green, all bundled in one package with a basic Leo. So you get all the flight pack parts and all the space type parts, all the weapon variants, everything you could possibly want for your Leo, all together in one package and all in the same uniform color scheme. As long as they've been releasing kits of the high-grade Leo, people have been asking for this, and I honestly didn't think it was really all that likely. It seemed oddly generous of Bandai to bundle everything together into one package like this and in a nice, clean, consistent color scheme. So I thought it just wouldn't happen, but it seems the Plamo gods have smiled on us and we have the perfect Leo. Now, the unfortunate thing about this model is that it's premium Bandai. But the good thing about it, and this is where the hype comes back in, is it's a Gundam Wing premium Bandai kit. And you know what that means? Bluefin is all over this. In fact, if you go to Bluefin's website right now, and I'm probably going to leave a link down in the description below, you can pre-order this kit for around $23, assuming you're living in the US. Now granted, you're still kind of screwed over if you're in Europe or Australia or anywhere that doesn't have a P Bandai shop or distribution by Bluefin, which is still a enormous portion of the earth. But if you're a US-based builder that wants to get yourself a Leo full package, you can actually get one without paying crazy prices for it. And because it's only $23, it's not completely unfeasible to army build this either. You could have a whole bunch of space-type Leos. You could have a whole bunch of flight-type Leos. In fact, there's actually some new pieces included in this set that haven't been in any of the previous ones, such as what I'm guessing is the middle part of the flight pack without the wings, and then a pair of open, relaxed hands. So you're getting some stuff that you wouldn't have even if you had the previous P Bandai sets. This is definitely a kit I can see a lot of people getting hyped for. The Leo's a popular mobile suit. This is pretty much the ultimate way to get it, and it was really cool of Bluefin to actually make this available to US customers. So next up, we have a much less impressive P Bandai kit, and this is the Rollout Colors Guneezy. It's just a white Guneezy. It is kind of a nice color scheme. It's got this nice clean look to it, but after the Leo full weapons set, this is just kind of underwhelming. All right, so now that it's been a little while since the hobby show, we've actually seen some proper official images of some of the new kits they revealed there, such as the Master Grade Phas Verka. Now, this is one of those CG render images and not a picture of an actual prototype, but this does allow us to see what the finalized color scheme of this model most likely will be, and we can also see what those trademark Katoki decals will look like. We got all those little V marks and lines and red bits and white bits and gray bits that you would always expect to see in a Verka, and because this is a Verka, they're probably gonna be water slides too. So this is definitely a kit that's gonna make the water slide fans out there happy. The color separation of the gun looks pretty cool. I like those little white highlights they added like up here at the top and around the sides. The more I look at these hoses around the waist, the more I suspect they're made out of some kind of rubbery material so that he can maybe flex his waist a bit more. Because as immobile as this kit's probably gonna be, it would be kind of weird if they didn't have some kind of give on these. But this is just a beautiful model kit. It's big, it's bulky, it's going to be an insane build, and I am definitely going to be picking one of these up. Also really cool is the Perfect Grade Perfect Strike Gundam. Now, when I talked about this last time, I had a little bit of uncertainty about how you would be able to combine the packs. Would you get the parts for the individual launcher and sword strike parts, or would you just get the Perfect Strike parts? Well, it turns out that you get literally everything. So as you can see right here, you get the launcher pack, you get the sword pack, you get the ale pack, and then you get the parts to combine all three together, and you get all that new armor for the Strike Gundam. And of course you get the Strike Gundam as well, just in case that wasn't obvious. This is now the definitive Strike Gundam model. This is an amazing looking kit with tons of detail that gives you the full Striker Pack experience. Here's the Strike Gundam on its own so you can see all that new armor. And here it is with the Ale Striker Pack, which is the one we've already gotten, but it was packaged before the Sky Grasper. Now you're getting it in the main set. Now that does mean that if you're buying this kit and for some reason you want to get a Sky Grasper separately, you will have a second Ale Striker Pack, but since the Sky Grasper looks pretty cool combined with the Ale Striker, it kind of helps fill out the design. So it's not a big deal to have two. You can have one on the Gundam, one on the Sky Grasper. Here we have the new launcher pack. As you can see, he can use it on its own, no problem. Same deal with the sword pack. They both look fantastic. And we haven't seen the grappling hook for the sword pack in action yet, or the boomerang, but I'm sure they both work as you would expect because this is a perfect grade. In fact, maybe we're going to be seeing some new gimmicks in there as well, since they tend to go just a little bit above and beyond with these models. Finally, we have the Perfect Strike Gundam. All three packs combined at once with the extended batteries on the Ale Striker. I'm honestly super hyped to get this model. I'm definitely going to be picking one of these up, but unfortunately, just like the situation we had this month with the Penelope and the God Gundam coming out at the same time, for some reason, Bandai thought it would be a good idea to release the Perfect Strike and the Phas at the same time. As much as I love this kit, as awesome as I think it is, I'm going to go with the Phas. So next up, we have a pretty basic Gundam-based Tokyo release. This is just the Narrative Gundam C-Pax Titanium Finish version. Really not much to say about it. Yeah, it's going to have some bad nub marks. It's going to be kind of cool looking, and it's going to be pretty expensive. So we do have a trio of new Sengoku Souketsuden reveals, and these are basically just upgraded versions of the first three kits in the line. So these three models are already pretty flashy looking, but these upgraded versions just take them to the extreme. They add a lot more translucent parts. In fact, now that I'm literally holding the original kit in my hand as I'm looking at this picture, I'm pretty sure most of what you're seeing here is brand new. And they're doing the same thing for the God Gundam. Very extreme looking. He's got those flaps on the back that are kind of reminiscent of of the God Gundam with its whole angel halo ring activated. He's still got the big spikes on his forearms, only now the wrist claws are a lot more pronounced. They actually come out over his hands. The red spikes on his V-fin are now translucent, and the whole thing has this really powerful energized look to it. Finally, we have the Unicorn Gundam, which is probably the most sensible one out of the group because it's actually based off something that already exists, and that is the full armor Unicorn Gundam. You can see he's got the extra shields attached to the side of his Buster rifle, and just like the other two, a lot more translucent plastic. Also, while he does have the destroy mode V-fin open, he has a new green single unicorn horn jutting straight out of his forehead. Next up, we have the cross silhouette Zaku 2. I wanted to talk about this in the last video, or not the last video, but the one where I was talking about the hobby show. It's pretty predictable. I mean, we've already got the Zaku, the standard Zaku. It's a pretty fantastic model, so I'm sure this one's gonna be great as well. And to go with it, we are getting a char-colored version of the cross silhouette frame, which allows you to build the kit without the joint parts being conspicuously white or gray. And what's also pretty nice is they're doing a green version of that as well for people like me that already have the cross silhouette Zaku. I was always kind of bugged by the fact that the gray frame, while pretty close, wasn't quite accurate to the classic Zaku colors. So it's going to be pretty cool to have a green frame I can pop in there instead. Alright, so next we're going to be looking at some Dengeki Hobby snap-built galleries. You know the drill with these. These are just the snap-built kits. No paint, no panel lines, no Photoshop trickery, just exactly what you'd get out of the box if you built the kit yourself. So we're starting off with the Mars 4 Gundam. We can see the core Gundam right now, and here is the completed mobile suit. You can get a pretty good idea of what the color separation on this is like, although you kind of also could just by looking at the R3 because these are two very similar models. We can see some pretty cool claws on his arms. There's like a little hinge mechanism so they can flip forward and back. And then next we have the new Zeon Gundam, which I'm actually kind of interested in, and well, it's red. It's very, very red. These are some really saturated reds. I'm not sure I like them. Looking here at the accessories, you can see he does come with a pair of small pocket knives similar to those that came with the Blue Frame 2nd, probably another nod to that kit. And not only will the tactical arms be able to turn to that giant beam sword like we saw in the original pictures of this kit, but apparently it'll also have a pretty cool crossbow mode as well. And I do really like that it's not just a direct copycat of one of the existing tactical arms modes. And here's that energy sword gimmick I was just talking about. He's got his giant blade that pierces the heavens. And thankfully, because the blade part of this is very, very thin, there's probably not going to be too many weight issues with it, especially since he comes with that handy little stand to prop up the base. Next up, we have the absolutely beautiful Hyzanthale 2. Now, I'm sure the color separation on here isn't perfect. I'm already seeing some little things that probably should be painted in, but man, they did a good job with this. They didn't even really skimp on the back. He's got some really cool yellow trim around his vents back here. Those little gray thrusters on his butt flap are molded in correctly in gray. That is well beyond the level of detail I was expecting out of this. Here you can see the accessories that come with the kit, and as you can see, there are a lot of them, and unfortunately, most of these are probably used for parts forming. It's a parts former. There's no way to get around it. It is a total 100% parts former, and it is absolutely shameless about it. This is the Mudrock. It's beautiful. I don't think this looks quite as cool as the Hyzanthale, but it's still one of my favorite Gundam designs. Definitely one of my favorite obscure Gundam designs. And they did a pretty great job of capturing it here. You can see what's basically the same level of color separation you would get on any other HGUC kit nowadays. Missing a little bit of color on these vents and the legs down here, that would have been kind of nice if those were gray or yellow. From the back, I think it looks pretty fine too. Now again, you come up to the backpack and there's some uncolored stuff back here. It is pretty much just a big wall of black, but again, it's a high grade. And of course, one of the main gimmicks of this kit is you get the parts that you can use to convert it to the Mudrock early type, which is basically just a slightly plainer looking version of it that has less stuff on the legs and less stuff on the shoulders. Finally, we have the Death Army that honestly I kind of forgot about just because there's so many other cool kits coming out, but this guy's pretty cool as well. He's got his giant club gun, pretty good color separation, and he folds up for convenient storage. And here he is folded up again from the back, so you can kind of see how that works. Overall, this looks like it's turning out to be another great, simple, fun little grunt suit. Alright guys, I'm getting kind of hoarse. I think that's going to do it for tonight. So leave a like if you enjoyed this video. If you're new to Channel 2S, subscribe for more Gundam and Gunpla content. Be sure to check out our channel sponsor, New Type HQ, at the link in the description below. Don't forget to use code Channel2S for 10% off your order. And as always, I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.